Hello everyone, welcome to today's news chatter. Let us begin with the prelims practice question of the day. This question, this question is a very simple factual question. You might not be getting such simple questions in your exam, but however, this particular fact is very important and that is why we have provided it here. India has recently been to the second stage of nuclear power program. We have a three-stage power program, nuclear power program, and we have crossed the first stage. We have initiated the second stage. In this context, every small information about the nuclear project of India, nuclear program of India, becomes very important. So this is why this question is also important for this year's prelims. Who was the architect of India's three-stage nuclear program? It's a very easy question. Homi Jahangir Bhabha. He is the architect of India's three-stage nuclear program. It was his idea as a whole. Let's start with the three-stage nuclear program of India itself. So, becoming self-sufficient in nuclear energy. Self-sufficient in nuclear energy was the idea, the aim behind this three-stage nuclear program. So we don't have to worry about the cold reserve. We don't have to worry about whether the sun is shining or not. We don't have to worry about whether we have good velocity wind or not. We don't have to worry about anything. We have good amount of fuel reserve. Thorium is there. Monazite sand is present in Kerala. Too much of reserve is there. So we can achieve our own electricity. Just that we need to ensure we reach the stage. So it cannot happen immediately. It will take some time. So we have divided it into three different stages. The first stage is the easier stage, pressurized heavy water reactor. Very simple, very easy. Try to listen to me carefully so that you can remember it. In mains examination, you can get a direct question on India's three-stage nuclear program. So it's very important. In the first stage of nuclear program, what we will do is we will use pressurized heavy water reactor, PHWRS. The fuel that is used is uranium-238 along with uranium-235. Here, the uranium-235 is the fissile material. So what we will do, what is nuclear fission? Nuclear fission is splitting the nucleus of a nuclear material, splitting the nucleus of the atom. So we will use a neutron. This neutron will be shot through the nucleus of uranium-235. Uranium-235 is fissile in nature. Once the nucleus breaks, the protons will go on everywhere. So we need to control the reaction. If it is uncontrollable, it will be like a nuclear bomb. So in order to control that, we use heavy water. Heavy water molecules contain deuterium isotope of hydrogen. Deuterium is one isotope of hydrogen. So this deuterium will control the reaction as a whole. And the neutrons that comes out of the fission, it will be directed to another uranium-235. So that neutron will be directed to another uranium-235. So as a whole, the nuclear chain reaction will happen in a controlled medium because the heavy water will control the entire reaction. The reaction produce plutonium-239. Any atom or any element, if it goes through a chemical reaction, it will result in some byproduct, an end product. The end product here is plutonium-239. So this is the first stage of nuclear program. In the second stage, what will happen? The plutonium-239 which we got as a result of the first stage, this will be used along with uranium-238. The reactor in which the reaction will go on is prototype fast breeder reactor. So the waste material which we get from the first stage of nuclear program is used in the second stage. Just the name of the reactor is different, prototype fast breeder reactor. It is a breeder reactor because we are using plutonium-239. In stage 3, what happens is Plutonium-239 will be combined with thorium-232. This thorium is very important because India has huge amount of thorium reserve. Monazite sand is present in Kerala to a greater extent, and from monazite we can extract thorium. So we have the material, we have the fuel that is required to undertake the nuclear fissile reaction. So we will use the plutonium-239 along with thorium. In second stage, we are using it along with uranium-238. Here we are using it along with thorium-232 in reactors, and this will produce energy, and uranium-233 as the end product. India hosts roughly a quarter of world's thorium. This is what I told. India has high, very huge amount of reserve. 25% of the entire thorium reserves of the world is in India. So India is blessed with this, but to reach this stage, it will take time because we cannot just develop a nuclear reactor out of nowhere. It will take its own time, it will take its own safety measures, etc. That is why from 1960s till now, we have reached only stage 2. Recently, the Prime Minister of the country reached Chennai and then he opened the prototype fast breeder reactor in Kalpakkam. So this is why nuclear program and related information is very important for this year's examination. Try to remember everything, try to study it very well. What exactly is prototype fast breeder reactor? Because it got inaugurated recently, so we need to know about it. Prototype, this heavy water reactor. So this is the first one. Pressurized heavy water reactor belong to stage 1. In pressurized heavy water reactor, we use low enriched uranium-238 as the fissile material and produce plutonium-239. This we understood in the previous slide itself. So this plutonium-239 is combined with again uranium-238 into a mixed oxide and loaded into the core of the new reactor. This reactor is a breeder reactor and this is what we call as prototype fast breeder reactor. This will produce again plutonium-239. In the end, again plutonium-239 will be produced. So this is the best thing about this resource, this reactor. Whatever fuel you are putting in, you will get the same fuel as output, and you will actually get more of the same fuel. So if you put 1 kg of plutonium-239 along with uranium-238, and then you start the nuclear reaction, in the end, again you will get plutonium-239. Actually, you will get more of plutonium-239. So you give and then you receive more. So this is why this reactor is highly beneficial for the country. The breeder reactor is a nuclear reactor that produces more fissile material than it consumes. It is in a fast breeder reactor, what happens is the neutrons aren't slowed. In pressurized heavy water reactor, I told you, we are using the heavy water as a moderator. So this heavy water will slow down the neutrons. Whereas in fast breeder reactor, we do not use anything and it doesn't slow the neutrons, and this will allow the fission reaction to happen in a greater extent. The fast breeder reactors are harder to handle than other reactor. This is the reason we took huge amount of time to achieve this feat. But however, now it has been inaugurated. Now this will continue for some time, and finally we will reach the third stage also, where you can use thorium along with plutonium 239. This particular case is very important for this year's mains examination. Recently, there was a report by the Supreme Court that the lower courts are not providing bails very easily. So this is a major issue because bail is the norm. According to Indian judiciary, any person should be easily able to receive bail. You can send a person to jail only if his crime gets confirmed. When it is in the investigation stage, you cannot jail a person. So bail should be provided to the people. This is the general norm. But in the recent times, mo most of the cases in the lower courts are not ready to provide bail. So this became a concern. This is why Satyendra Kumar Antil versus CBI is a very important case. So what is the scenario at present? Over 75% of Indian prison population are by under trial. 75, if there are 100 people, 75 people are under trials. Their crimes are not being confirmed yet. Their crimes are not being proved yet. So this itself is a worrying scenario. And prison overcrowding is another big issue. The prison strength at present stands at 118 percentage. So huge amount of people are there, heavy population is there. So this will not result in reduction of crimes. This will actually increase the crime rate in prison also. So 75 percentage of people are under trials, 118 percentage is the total population of the prison. So this is a very sad scenario. You can use this in your introduction if you are getting a question related to bails. Satyendra Kumar Antal versus CBI. In this case, the Supreme Court has provided some guidelines related to bail. What they have told. It mandated timeline for disposal of bail application. They have told that bail should be provided within a fixed timeline, laying emphasis on need to enact a separate legislation. At present, we do not have a single legislation. Bail provisions are taken care by the states separately. So states have their own provisions, their own laws and regulations related to bail. But as a whole, we do not have a single legislation to take care of it. Crowding jail with under trial prisoners ignored the principle of presumption of innocence and bail not jail being the norm. So two important principles are taken care by the Supreme Court. First thing, presumption of innocence. That is, if a person is told by the police that they have committed a crime, we do not presume that he is a criminal. We presume he is an innocent person. It is upon the police to prove his crime. So that's why the Indian judiciary always presume that he is innocent. And it is upon the police officers to prove his crime. Once it is proven, then he will be considered as a criminal. Until then, he will not be considered as a criminal. Second one, bail not jail as the norm. So providing bail to people should be easy. Only if the crimes are proven, he should be taken to jail. Before proving the crime, he should not be taken to jail. So not providing bail at the right time is against both of these principles. This is what Supreme Court told in Satyendra Kumar Antil versus Central Bureau of Investigation. According to Section 436 of CRPC, bail is the right of every person. But sadly, this is not being followed by the states. Provisions related to bail under CRPC are subjected to the discretion of the court. So court can give or grant bail according to their own things. They can tell that I will provide you bail if you are able to pledge for 1 lakh rupee or 2 lakh rupee. It's up according to the court. So there is no single provision, there is no single regulation to regulate the entire bail provision in the country. So this is the major problem, and it is time that central government come up with a legislation for bails. Emissions by artificial intelligence. Today there was a very good article in the Hindu about emissions due to artificial intelligence. So we keep claiming that once artificial intelligence come, everything will be digital. So there will be less emission of carbon dioxide. But in reality, what happens is because artificial intelligence needs heavy amount of energy, because artificial intelligence needs big manufacturing facilities to manufacture those semiconductors, and because we need too much of energy to run all those facilities, in reality, the emissions are actually high. So training GPT-3 means the chat GPT which is present, which is there at present, it is in the training phase. It is trying to identify and understand and study things. And they will commit some mistakes. So they will learn from the mistakes. So this is what the training stage is. Even at training stage, it has generated 502 metric ton of carbon. GPT-3 further emits 8.4 ton of CO2 annually. Every year, it will emit this much amount. So more than 500 metric ton of carbon it has emitted already. In this scenario, what experts are telling is there are two things. One is artificial neutron network, and the second one is spiking neutron. network. Try to remember this. These kind of terms get asked in your prelims examination. Two things. First one, artificial neuron network. Second one, spiking neural network. Artificial neural network is the first stage. Spiking neural network is the second stage. In artificial neural network, what happens is the chat GPT will work based on the memory, time, power, and data. So the artificial neuron network is the basic network in which it will learn based on the data with a lot of calculation. It will take too much of power, it will take too much of memory, it will take too much of time because it is always on. It always learns. Every small changes, every small information it keeps collecting and it will keep learning. This is what artificial neuron network means. Spiking neuron network is an advanced stage. In spiking neuron network, what happens is it will have it will be learning based on spikes. Spikes means when you are doing an activity, if there is a extreme amount of data flow, then you learn. If you do any mistakes, then you learn. Other than that, everything will be normal. So this is what spiking neural network means. So the basic difference is in artificial neural network, the system will always be on. It will keep learning the data. It will keep learning from each and every changes. In spiking neural network, already the system is well set up. So only when there is a spike, when there is a necessity, when there is a need, if it has done some mistake, only then it will learn. So the experts tell that because we are in artificial neuron network, the amount of electricity consumption is very high. But when we reach the spiking neural network, the amount of carbon emission will be less. And lifelong learning is another concept where the GPT keeps learning. That's all it is. So neurons are already there in human brain. So it will work according to how the neurons in human brain works. So we have neuron cells. We have nervous cells. These nervous cells will keep transmitting signals from one cell to another, and that's how we learn. So artificial intelligence also focuses on the same thing. They follow the neuron pattern, communicate with each other, transmitting intermittent signals. In SSN, they use patterns or timing of spikes to process and transmit information, which we have already discussed. While the artificial neurons in ANNs are always active, SNNs consume energy only when a spike occurs. So this is what I told. Only when there is a necessity, they will become active. Other than that, it will not be spending too much of energy. So SSNs are 280 times more efficient than ANNs. So the difference between artificial neural network and spiking neural network is very important. Try to learn it. Mains practice question of the day, critically examine the relevance of WTO in the present times. Yesterday's news chatter, we have already discussed about it. You can mention the answer and send to us. We will get it corrected. Mains pointers, green jobs. Green jobs is a very important concept because we are trying to develop ourselves into a sustainable economy. We are trying to develop ourselves into a environmentally conscious economy. So in this case, all those conventional jobs will get converted into green jobs where less emission happens. So we need to get our people, our laborers, our youngsters skilled so that they will be ready to take up the new roles. In this, we need to ensure gender parity is there because it is a highly technical job. If you can get enough amount of women into this employment, then the amount of money they make will be good. The money they make will be higher. So it will, as a whole, result in development of the economy of the nation. But what is the present scenario? The transition to low carbon development has the potential to add about 35 million green jobs by 2047. There is a potential to add 35 million jobs, whereas in reality, the amount of women who are employed in green jobs is very less, very minimal. So we need to take care of it. We need to skill women specifically for green jobs. International Labour Organization defines green job as decent jobs that contribute to preservation and restoration of environment. So from prelims point of view, try to know what exactly is green job. And another important fact is men are more employed in green job. So this is all for today. Try to study everything very well, especially nuclear program is extremely important for this year. Try to study it properly. All the best. Let's meet tomorrow.